welcome back. So this is going to be the last video in the processing of research from using a research article. If people are interested, I may consider doing another video series showing how I do books. It's a little bit more challenging because books are definitely an analog medium for me, in the sense that I like to hold the book in my hand and page through the paper. There's something about the smell of the book and the feel of that paper that I really enjoy while reading. I do read some books on digital, but again, it's usually within a Kindle type of an environment opposed to a PDF, and so it's kind of hard to show and share how I process my books. And then there's the whole speed reading, to have you somehow be able to see how I read through a book. I don't necessarily would make a lot of sense. With that being said, I may put a video in the Q&A about how I approach books, since I do approach them differently than a lot of people do, and there's, you know, of course I have my reasons for that. But this video today is going to show you how to actually create the cards. So we've looked at the research, we've made our decision about what the value is of that information that we found. We've made our decision about the type of card that is needed. And so now let's put those pieces together and actually take a look at the cards that I've created. Okay, so if we take a look now again at the research article and what I highlighted in purple, we'll see that I have here a definition on ethical leadership. And so what I did is, in my Obsidian, in my Zettelkasten, by ethical leadership, I went ahead and actually I called it ethical leadership characteristics. And here I put in my own words, everything that I found in the research article that pertained to ethical leadership from a description or definition perspective. And the way I write my cards, and in this case, it's I ended up deciding to put this in a Zettelkasten card. I do also have some descriptions of ethics in my terms and conditions, but I ultimately decided to make a Zettelkasten card or main card for this topic, because I realized that while it wasn't exciting and while it wasn't new, it was very applicable to artificial intelligence and its use for strategic decision making. There's a lot of different ethics that are involved in artificial intelligence, and a big part of that is ethical leadership. And you can't have a bottom-up ethical strategy or culture. It really does have to come from the top down, at least in my opinion. And so I took everything that I could find on ethical leadership and its description, and I went ahead and I wrote this in my own words. And so this is important for two reasons. It's important because I'm trying to absorb and get into my head what ethical leadership is about, so it's a descriptive thing. And then secondly, I wrote it in such a way with citations that I can now pull this into a book, an article, my dissertation, and it's already written in a rough draft form, properly cited, and everything that I need to use it. And now you can see I've opened my terms and concepts and theories box. I've gone to my E tab, and here you see I do have ethical leadership defined. And I brought this up because I wanted to show, first off, I did define it within my terms, so it isn't just in my main cards. But I also wanted to use this because the research by Zhang had actually pulled the definition from somebody named Brown, and it was published in 2005 on page 120. And so I wanted to make sure that with my definition, that because I copied it from Zhang, I wanted to make sure I incorporated who Zhang got it from as well. But then I put in this additional little paragraph here that explains that I quoted it from Zhang. So here's where I got my knowledge, and that Zhang originally got it from Brown. And I actually looked into the reference list on Zhang in the research and identified who this Brown was. And that's pretty easy to do because they actually have it hyperlinked right here for you. So if I scroll down, and here I highlighted in purple that reference so that I had it, because I might decide to change the words up, and I want to make sure that I cite who I actually am quoting properly. It's really important, I think, to have that. And so that's how I actually bring the information in. I create my cards, and all of that information then is right there ready for me to use. So you might be thinking to yourself, why is this so important? Why go through a research article 5 times? Remember, we went through with the yellow, we went through with the green, we had some coral, we went through with blue, we went through with purple. Why so many times? Part of that is to prime your mind. By going through and identifying the overview and then identifying the key takeaways, you're kind of, I guess, preparing your mind to accept that new information. And then when I did finally sit down with my purple highlighter and decided, okay, what information do I really want to pull from this research, I could do it because it was right there. And then I could look at it, I could think about it. I was able to pull pieces about ethical leadership from different pages and bring it all together into my own words and into a way that I can use for future reference. As artificial intelligence and large language models become more and more integrated with society and our universities, there's going to be more and more questions about whether or not you as an individual wrote something or whether or not you depended on a large language model to assist you with writing. I'm not here to weigh in on the debate of what is right and what is wrong with regards to LLMs and universities. I'll leave that up to the provost to figure that out for themselves. What I am here to tell you is that if your university absolutely objects to the use of any LLMs or large language models, like mine does, and you ever get questioned about your work process or how you came up with that, your Zettelkasten is going to be the best tool that you have to show your thought processes, to show the research you did, to show the resources you found. And this is why I use MODV to index and organize all of my research articles. This is why I use Zotero to help me keep them all categorized and organized. And this is why I use Obsidian and my Zettelkasten to create all of my cards. Ultimately, I want to learn that information, but I also want to be able to defend myself should any questions come up. I hope you found this helpful and that you'll come back and check out some of the other playlists and see what else Zettelkasten can do to help you. Thanks. Bye.